Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Gwen, and this is our weekly Wednesday Yap, where I show up completely unfiltered and share what is on my heart. And today, what is on my heart is honestly, I feel quite sad because I had recorded the first 15 minutes of this and then realized that my mic wasn't on. Ah! Which is quite fascinating and ironic. And universe, I see you because today is actually all about how do you keep your frequency and your energy high when honestly you don't feel like it. And this is exactly that. I was blasting Outcast. I was hyping myself up and I had yapped for 15 minutes and it was a pretty damn good 15 minutes if I do say so myself. Um, but life had other plans and so I am here showing up again and seeing if the message evolves or if I can deliver the same thing but perhaps at not the same energy, or maybe if I can get myself back up there. I don't know, right? This is, after all, an experiment. So, whew, letting go of what was, the disappointment, the anger at myself, coming back into center to today's big question: is the old rule still true? This is something that honestly blew my mind yesterday when I had a beautiful somatic coaching session with my friend Sara Noble. I will tag her below. She is incredible. I think somatics is something that I'm relatively new to compared to my other modalities. I have worked with visualization, kind of like more cerebral type things, doing a lot of inner work through, I would say, the recesses of the mind. But I realized yesterday that that is actually my Achilles heel, so to speak. Honestly, let me know if you resonate. When we are trying to stay in this high vibration state, usually the first thing that kicks us off is our brains, our unruly thoughts, kind of like, how you're trying so hard to be in the moment, but your brain either takes you to the past or to the future or starts overthinking about if you're doing it right, or like me, literally just now, kind of like almost berating myself of like, oh man, we had such a great first recording. And we made the silly mistake of not turning the mic on. Just checking. Yeah, it's on. um and yeah, I realized through the coaching session with Sarah that is my what do you call that, the first indicator that I had fallen out of alignment. So we always talk about alignment, but what is alignment actually? I'm going to attempt to describe to you how it feels in my body, since I had such a beautiful felt sense of it yesterday. So for me, what it feels like to be in alignment is almost like this beautiful dance between a part of me that is very anchored. And I kind of see it almost like a pendulum swinging, acting as a counterweight to what I used to think was the only definition of my creative state. So, my creative state is playful, whimsical, really kind of like effervescent, the quality of soda pop, the quality of, just that frisson of excitement in the air. And I had that felt experience just a few days ago and kind of just feeling into that. I think I used to over prioritize being in that state. And so when I wasn't on the high, as I used to call it, I would feel really down and really out about myself. But in recent years, I've been cultivating that counterweight, right? That counterbalance of feeling really grounded and really almost like centered in my body within. So you might ask, how do you then marry this kind of like whirly, effervescent quality with this kind of like grounded counterweight below. And I've realized for myself that point of connection is in my solar plexus. So if you're not sure where your solar plexus is, Sarah said, it is this tender bundle of nerves right below your lower ribs. Like if you press it here, you will feel a little bit like, ooh, it's kind of tender. That's the solar plexus for me. And I feel like a lot of my energy and my power tends to reside there. And so that connection point between these two realms, almost like heaven and earth, right? That is the center that connects it all for me. And so I realized yesterday the way to regulate is first to pendulate. So kind of just like rocking back and forth for me. And then coming into that equilibrium, then I try to call in that effervescence. And for me, it starts in my fingertips. I feel like this like fizzing energetic quality in my fingertips, which I'm feeling right now. And I allow it to slowly travel up my arms, into my solar plexus, and up into my crown, and just feeling that energy circulate within. And how I know it's working, it's when I feel, okay, I feel light. I feel this lightness of being. And that is when I know I am not anchored in the past or the future. I am fully embodied in the present. And I really feel like this energetic state is where the source of the most aligned creation is for me. When I speak from this state, I am not overly excited or overly grounded. I am just here. I am me. And when I can come back into that, whatever I create, whatever I put out into the world, whatever invitations that I respond to or that I initiate, they are all aligned. Okay. And yeah, thank you, Sarah, for teaching me to tune into and give language to what it feels like within. Because what I wanted to talk about today, which is the old rules still true, has to do with this, right? Because I feel like recently I've been having so many conversations about who I really am, which sounds interesting to say since we just had the Leo eclipse 2 weeks ago, the South Node eclipse in Leo on the 12th of August. And we have, because eclipses work in pairs, we have the second eclipse coming up in a couple days' time, the Pisces North Node eclipse, lunar eclipse at 4 degrees Pisces on the 28th-ish of August, depending on your time zone. And this kind of like beautiful time between eclipses, which is where we are at right now, I find that whatever conversations, whatever initiations that happen during this time, is very fated because we get to see what was kind of sparked at the first eclipse and what is culminating at the second eclipse. And of course, there is a larger timeline that connects all of these things. But specifically, this eclipse in Pisces, I'm Pisces, its exact degree conjunct my Saturn in Pisces. So I really have been asking myself, what is this eclipse trying to teach me, right? And if the conversations that have been unfolding are any indication, for me, it's really about updating the outdated beliefs that I have about myself. And so many of these beliefs live in the body. We try so much to rewire our thoughts, our neuroplasticity, whatever. And yes, of course, there is, merit to that. But my experience yesterday taught me that, wow, so much of it still lives in the body. The blocks, the restrictions, the ideas that we have about how things should be, the old rules. A lot of it has to do with what old stories or old selves, even that we are still carrying in our body. And yesterday, I had this really big realization. I guess quick context is starting from Saturday, I was talking to my sister and she was asking me about, hey, how is this creative project going for you? You know, and I said, oh, I'm not sure. Like, I've kind of like fallen a little bit out of momentum about it. I'm not sure if I should do it. And she said, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. How do you feel about it? And I said, you know what? I feel quite scared about it. And she said, if it truly doesn't mean anything to you anymore, you would feel indifference, not fear. And I was like, whoa, that is huge because I didn't realize that the fact that it was still creating activation in my body meant that it is still meant for me, just maybe needing to take a different form. So the seed was already planted that day. And the next day, Sunday, I did something quite, different than what I would normally do, but really tuning into my body of it asking me to detox, to kind of like create space for myself. And I was feeling so overwhelmed with all the noise on social media. And so what I did on Sundays, I took myself out to a cafe without my phone, which is quite revolutionary for my standards. And I spent a glorious 4 hours there just sitting with my Kindle, my notebook, and my journal. And I kind of cycled through the three of them and really just paying attention to what my body was asking of me. Like, there were moments where, of course, I was seeking that stimulation or I was seeking for answers, and I would reach for my imaginary phone, with that claw, and realizing, oh, I don't have my phone with me. I guess I gotta rely on my brain, right? And it was interesting because it was only at like the last hour-ish or so that I started to make connections between, my work and my life and all these things that I was like, wow, there was no way I would have realized this if not for giving myself this big chunk of uninterrupted time, right? So I had the insight from that experience. My sister was the spark. This was the insight. And then on Monday, I had a beautiful brunch with my friend. I guess one of my oldest friends. She's, known me for 14 years and she's going abroad. So we had a really beautiful conversation. And I was just basically like interviewing her on, what do you think is my thing, right? What is the thing that I'm meant to talk about? What do you associate with me? And she was like, Gwen, you are someone that is just so human. Like, everything that you stand for when I have conversations with you, you always bring me back into my humanity. And I asked her, what does that mean? What does that look like? And she was like, the way you embody certain values like empathy, generosity, forgiveness, conversation, kindness, wisdom, like, just the ability to talk things out and connect and work through things. Like, this all feels very human to me, she said. And in a world of AI, choosing to be human is something that is quite radical and something that I associate solely with you. And that honestly blew my mind because this comes so naturally to me across all the iterations of my work, right? Through Tribeless, where I was running an empathy training company, to astrology, where I was basically connecting people to their human essence, who they actually are. And then now, as I'm trying to marry these two things and basically creating a whole new constellated body of work, I never realized that, oh, perhaps the thorough line between all of these things is about being human. So, as she was saying these things to me, I realized that a very important thing that I did when I was journaling the day before is that I had kind of just put everything on paper. And I don't know about you, but when I have everything like kind of like word vomited out, I get a bit overwhelmed, right? I'm not quite sure what to do about it. But somehow, miraculously, uh, which is something that my friend had noticed about me as well, is I tend to make really disparate and tangible things into very practical, tangible homework, right? She's like, you are the queen of homework, like making things tangible and practical. So I didn't realize it, but I did that for myself. Like, after all the things that I had listed out, I had listed a very, very scary piece of homework. And yet the sting had been taken out of it. because when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, because of everything that I had spent all these hours thinking about, I know why I need to do this. So it's not as scary anymore because I understand why it needs to be done. And honestly, it's just the first step. It was just me reaching out to someone that I hadn't talked to in a long time about something that I have been avoiding for a long time. But, the journaling and the thinking helped me realize that it's time for me to face this. And so, after getting that burst of courage from my friend, her reminding me what I stand for, these human values of courage and empathy and conversation, like what I was saying earlier, I could feel that effervescence in my body. And so I did my homework. After my friend left, I decided to ride on that wave of momentum and I did the thing. I reached out. And guys, can I just say how shocking it was that when I was acting out of alignment, energetic alignment, and also action based alignment, things completely flowed. The person who normally doesn't reply me that quickly responded immediately, and we were able to work out all the details and actually collaborate, which was insane to me. Like it kind of like blew my mind because this dynamic wasn't possible between me and this person for a very long time. But perhaps everything because it was in alignment, bing bing bong bong bong, we worked it out. Like we got the date set up, we got the venue set up, like everything is just perfectly, arranged for us to have this conversation in October. And this would not have been possible if I had not first done that work of figuring out what is true for me right now, what do I need to do, identifying the thing I needed to do, and then getting in the right energetic state to actually do the thing. So that was what happened. But when I take this a step further and I brought all of this to my beautiful coach friend, Sarah, and I said, I want to stay in this vibrational state. I think this is beautiful. I think this is who I'm truly meant to be and how I'm meant to embody my true self in this life that I want to create. How can I stay in this frequency? This came up to, what I was saying earlier about, is the old rule still true? If there is a part of you that doesn't believe that you can stay in this energetic state, that you do deserve to be in this beautiful frequency of collaboration and freedom and abundance, that part of you is going to hold you, down and anchored in that level when instead you want to be up here and, effervescence and playful. And so we were able to identify this really old belief that I didn't realize I was still holding. And this is my beautiful child self, where in order to protect herself against disappointment, she would preemptively think that the shoe is going to drop. She misses out on the beauty of the now because she's too busy worrying about tomorrow and the future and thinking that, what, this isn't going to last anyway. So I might as well grieve it in the moment. I might as well overthink my way into kind of like shielding myself from this disappointment and preemptively pushing people and opportunities away by not trying or just thinking that, what, I'm not going to get it anyway, so that's okay. And this is honestly at odds with my human design motivation of hope. You can look up your motivation, it's really interesting. It's basically how you are meant to embody the state that you are meant to embody in order to be in your highest alignment. And like I said, effervescence, hope. I want to be hopeful. So I had this beautiful moment where we identified this, and Sarah allowed me to speak to my 13-year-old self and give her the gift of hope. It was like this beautiful glowing orb of light, yellow light, hope living in my chest. And I reached in and I gave it to her and I said, I have more than enough to share for the both of us. And I have so much hope for the future, for what we're building, for what is coming for us. And I remember really clearly thinking, I want to show you how good it's going to get. I want to feel in my body every day how good it's going to get. And I'm going to share that with this younger version of myself who understandably doesn't have the resources I have now. Like I look around me and I was just being so present in my life last night and thinking, wow, I'm living in my own place, which is her dream at the time. I have my own computer. I write and speak for a living. I'm figuring out my dream career. Yeah, things are messy, things are stable, but whatever. Like I'm doing it. I'm not stuck in a life that I hate, right? Because I have always remained purely committed to one thing and one thing only, which is I will live a life that is in full alignment to myself. I have not compromised on that at all. And I just felt so proud to show that 13-year-old version of me who did not have the resources or the hope that I have now. And she's just so down and wishing to escape her circumstances. But I was able to show her there is another way. There is another way of being, and we get to embody that together. Isn't that amazing? We get to be in this beautiful vibration of hope and kind of like possibility and coming back into our center whenever we are, messy or like confused or like accidentally in our heads. We get to come back into our bodies. We get to come back into our bodies and rewrite the old rules. So, as you're listening to this, hopefully before the eclipse comes around, I invite you to come back into your body and ask yourself, what is an old rule that you are still adhering to that is no longer true? You get to be a version of yourself that is fully aligned with who you are now without holding on to these relics of the past. You get to be as bright and beautiful and brilliant as you wish to be in the now. I hope that for you, and I hope that for myself, my dear friends. I love you, and if this resonates, share it, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye. I love you.